So everyone online recently has been arguing over rooftop tents versus ground tents. Oh, nobody needs a rooftop tent. Those are just so dumb. You're Broverland if you use a rooftop tent. Ground tenting makes me a little bit scared. I don't like being that close to the ground. It's just gross. I hate it. The only way to tent should be on top of your vehicle, not on the ground. Again, that's gross. But today, I'm gonna settle the debate. First off, I'm just gonna give you the answer for the question I posed for the entire video. And the answer is, I don't have one. I see uses for either. You can do ground tenting, you can do rooftop tenting. I honestly don't care what you do. So that is kind of pointless. But I did make a video on why rooftop tents suck. And you can go back and check out that video here. Basically listed 5 reasons why you might not want to rooftop tent. And I think that's valid for a lot of people. There's a lot of people who it just doesn't make sense to get a rooftop tent. And if that's you, go for a ground tent, obviously. But after I made that video, I realized I should make a video on why you should get a rooftop tent, because there is 2 sides to the story. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. I am the most average Broverlander there is, so I do use a rooftop tent. I am one of those guys, so if that turned you away from this video, peace. I don't need to see you anymore. Man, I am in a snarky mood this morning. I'm sorry. And reason number 1, rooftop tent. It's in the name, it goes on your roof. It doesn't go in your vehicle. That's the one thing I don't really like about ground tents, is how much room it takes up in your vehicle. You don't have to worry about putting your tent in, burying it, and then every evening having to unpack everything to get to your tent. Because when you go on a trip for a few days, you have a lot of crap that you gotta shove in your vehicle, and it's gonna end up being buried because you need other stuff during the day. That's just what happens. So it's really nice to just kind of get to your site, set it up, because it's already on top of your vehicle. Now there's some downsides to that. I talked about that in the last video about having a tent on top of your vehicle. It does a lot of different things, including center of gravity, it increases drag, all of that. But there's also some big upsides to it. And reason number 2, it is easier to set up than a ground tent. A lot of you are probably gonna argue with me about this, but when you think about it, you arrive at your campsite, whether that's a manicured site or just one in the middle of nowhere, you have to kind of find a flat spot. And then when you find that flat spot, you have to clear out all the debris, little rocks, stuff like that, so you don't, stab your back. And after that, you put down your tarp and then set up your tent. Now, most tents these days are a little bit easier to set up, but the old ones, you have to click together the poles, kind of annoying. Now, I will say, with the tent that's on the FJ, sometimes it does take, 15, 20 minutes if you're by yourself. If you're with other people, it's a lot easier. But there's also a lot of quicker tents out there that are smaller. So, upsides and downsides, as I talked about in the last video. Reason number 3, rooftop tents are more comfortable than ground tents. And this is just a natural thing because almost all rooftop tents have a foam pad in it, just that stays in it all the time. And it's just really nice. You just open up your tent, go in, lay down, you're good to go. But if you want to stay comfortable in a ground tent, you have to bring a sleeping pad or something like that. Again, more things to bring, more things to set up. Now, number 4 is the average Broverland answer. You're sleeping higher up, so that's better, right? And in some ways it is, yes, because you don't have to worry about, snakes. I've had mice before in ground tents. Spiders now, you'll still probably get spiders, but not as frequent. And yeah, you don't have to worry about that stuff. You're in your own little palace up on top of the vehicle. So it's just really, it makes you feel like a king because you're up higher and you just feel really superior to the world around you. You have the tactical advantage up on top of the roof. So it's just, honestly, what it comes down to, forget anything I said in this video, rooftop tents are just the best because you elevate your status. And that's all that matters when you're out Broverlanding. If your status is up here, the ground tenters, they're on the ground, literally. So I'm sorry I offended you guys, but it's what I gotta do for the culture, We gotta change people's mindsets. So, all right guys, I'm just kidding. Rooftop tents, ground tents, I'd say they're on the same level. They both have their pros and cons, and that's up to you to figure out what works for you. But if you disagree with me, argue in the comments below. And if you have more reasons for rooftop tents, also comment those down below because there is a ton more. I just wanted to cover a very select few. Either way, I'll still see you in the next one.